Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world, good something.
Good something.
Good morning, good afternoon, good middle of the night. I almost forgot to hit the go live button just now because Kevin and I were catching up and we're like, oh right,
Oh,
it's
it's 10
time
o'clock.
it's time to kick off this live stream. I'm so excited to have this conversation this morning with you, Kevin, talking about how
Likewise.
to fill an opportunity wallet, mainly because you and I always like to contemplate what gets created next. Not to make a pun on the Create Next community that you've
You can do that all day long. I'll take it.
well, you and I are very much oriented on how we establish the conditions or crystallize the conditions for whatever we see as opportunity. So, thank you for playing with me today.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Kevin, for the folks who are joining from my lens of the world, speak yourself into the proverbial room so that people can know a lot about you a little.
So I have just one overriding, shadowing belief that kind of ties everything that I do together and everything that I'm creating, and that is that I think we should be doing what we love. I think we should be living in our zone of genius as much as possible, and I think we should be constantly expanding that and seeing what's next. So impact, freedom, are really important things to me. I know I said I was going to sum it up in one sentence, but anybody that knows me, that's an impossibility. So, so the work that I do through, whether it's the newsletters and the digital media stuff that we have, whether it's the coaching and the advisory group that we have in Create Next group, is all around that. It's working with high performers. It's meeting people where they are who want to love what they do, and maybe they're ready to love the next thing and they love the last thing, or somewhere along the way, maybe we forgot that we can love and we deserve. I'll use that word intentionally,
Yeah.
to love the work that we do. You know.
Yeah, I'm so with you there. There is it is possible for us to work crazy hard on something and still have it feel joyful and fun. Like it doesn't have to feel
Yeah.
like a cudgel. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have a conversation with you today is how can it be that we're working the hardest we've ever worked, and it feels easeful, not easy. And it feels like not only are we creating opportunities for ourselves, but we're creating opportunities for other people. And so, as you and I were having a conversation just last week, we only contemplated doing this live stream today.
Right.
Last Thursday morning, I was in the airport in Chicago, and I was literally texting you. I'm like, "Hey, would you like to whatever?" And you was like, "Sure." So, who is this conversation for when we want to talk about filling an opportunity wallet? Um, it's for people who are tired of playing a smaller game, either because they've put themselves in a smaller box or they feel like outside forces, let's call it, have put them in a smaller box. Uh, it's it's for people who have really great ideas and sometimes want the ignition switch or sometimes need help in creating those interim steps to get from here to whatever it is they have in their mind's eye. And this conversation is also for people who feel like they might be alone in a crowded room. So they're surrounded by really lovely people, and they wish they could be in a community or they could have a conversation with someone who they feel like can empathize with them, or for someone who they feel like gets them, let's say, for lack of a better descriptor. Who else do you think this conversation we're about to have is for?
Yeah, so I always boil motivators down to, health, wealth, relationships. I think we could talk about, goals and aspirations in there too,
Yeah.
and purpose. But for me, like when I looked at it, when I was kind of reviewing everything this morning, I just thought the word agency came up, right? I think that everybody wants I believe that everyone, I don't know, let me clean this up. I don't know many people who would say they don't want more freedom in their life.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So probably the best way to say it. I don't like to start with negatives. I like to start with positives, but nonetheless, so if you want greater agency and control over your career, and oh, by the way, everything we're talking about here cascades into all other aspects of your life.
Right.
I believe there's no, in at least the last 25-ish years that I've been in this space of working with people around careers, whether it's as a headhunter or whether it's the work, we've done at Career Attraction and Create Next, is that I don't believe there's ever been any greater time for you to use some of the resources that are out there and be able to use them in your own way and style to get your voice, to build an audience, to create opportunity, to fill your opportunity wallet. It's just, it's there. And then it just takes a commitment and a decision and some playfulness to figure out what that message is and just get out there and start moving.
Right, absolutely. And thank you for saying playfulness. As you know, I am on a 25-year mission to be the world-renowned coach and advisor to modern badasses, and also the world-renowned coach. Well played. And also, there you have
it. It is always sitting here. I kid you not. Like it's always sitting here. There's a stack of books yesterday, but it's always here.
Very well played. The world-renowned coach and advisor to those who lead badasses. And this idea of agency, this idea of freedom, this idea of creativity, those are very much hallmarks of a badass. And I have a list of 14 traits of modern badasses. If people would like to hop on over to that link, you can get access to the 14 traits there. And creativity is 100% a part of that. And what's true for badasses as well as everyone else, it's not exclusive to them, is when we are in environments where we feel like our creativity is limited or our agency is limited, that's really like not having any oxygen. Yeah. That's really like setting fire to your money. That's really like setting fire to your time. And so when we are in these situations where we feel like we are limited in terms of freedom, agency, creativity, opportunity, whatever it is, choosing to stay in that is like cutting ourselves off from oxygen. You shared a really awesome quote yesterday on LinkedIn. I'll read it. We either make ourselves happy or miserable. The amount of work is the same. So if we all exerting the same level of effort, wouldn't it be great if we created the conditions to maximize opportunity, to maximize joy, to maximize freedom, maximize creativity, as opposed to sitting in a swirl of yuck, which is a technical term, as you know. So where are we going next? We are going to talk about what an opportunity wallet is and why we are talking about it now. So Kevin, how would you describe an opportunity wallet?
I think simply put, it's kind of organizing what opportunities exist for you, right? So getting intentional about pulling together what some of the options are for you moving forward, which it can be part and parcel for part and parcel is probably the wrong way to put it, but it can certainly be a function of having absolute clarity on where you want to go.
Yeah.
Typically, I find more people are clear on what they don't want than what they do want.
Right.
That's always a nice catch when you are asked something and you start out your response by saying what you don't want. It's a
Yeah.
good opportunity to hit pause
Right.
and go back and clean that up, or give it some more thought. But the intentionality around the concept, and why I love how you put together Opportunity Wallet, the intentionality behind that, for me at least, is that now we're starting to get clear about what do we have. Everybody has resources. Everyone has the access to picking up the phone and connecting with someone who is degrees of separation away from, the individual or the opportunity, the true opportunity that exists, and just starting to think that way and realize that, to your point, we are at choice, and we can choose to take action or not take action, and then fill that in with, supporting beliefs. But all those things are choices. So it's starting to get organized and get very clear with yourself around what you have, what you're creating, and what you want to build and create for yourself.
Yeah, and what I love about that is, to your point, is clarity. Clarity on what's important to us. Clarity on why these things that are important to us are important to us. So, for example, values. I'm a big fan of clarifying values, as I know you are too. And you named some of my values earlier, like freedom is the top value. So if I were to list mine off the top, I always say freedom, truth, justice, creativity, and loyalty, in that order. And I'm curious, what are your top values?
The top three for me are freedom, impact, and profitability. And for those always help me stay clear on, and professionally speaking, but it also filters over to personal, because they support what I want to create personally, right? They keep me straight. And when I find that I am somewhere where I am uncomfortable, and if I check in and that discomfort is coming from a place of it not being something new or a new muscle or learning well, we're always learning. But I'm out of integrity with one of those things that become really easy to check in on.
Yeah, and when I'm out of integrity with my key values, that's where conflict lives. That's where disappointment lives. And so I've learned that my body is telling me that something is about to go pear-shaped. My body is telling me when something feels out of alignment with my values or what I care about, way before my mind picks it up. And so, what if we were always to create environments? What if we were always to find ways to fill an opportunity wallet where everything feels aligned, everything feels like fun, and we are in community with people who aren't necessarily matchy with us. I'm not looking for everyone to be Stepford wives, but be in community with people to say, I support you in that. What resources do you need?
Yeah.
I'm excited for you, or however it is that a solid community shows up for one another.
I think it's a really important distinction, because there are two pieces of that for me. So one is surrounding myself with people who share same and similar values, aren't necessarily like-minded. I don't
Right.
need to be in an echo chamber. To your point,
Right.
like Stepford wives, what I like,
Right.
I don't need lockstep in terms of that, but I do need to know that we're coming from the same place in terms of what we share value wise. But the other part of the equation in those three things for me is that not only am I it's a balanced scale, right? Take profitability, for example.
Sure.
Profitability could be very simply looked at like, I want to make sure that there are certain profit margins I want to maintain, whatever on my side. But I also think in terms of the things that I'm creating and work that we're doing with clients, whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, that I need to be clear on what that profitability and that ROI looks like for them. So if I'm filtering in for the right people, it's not just, oh, I think this person would be fun to work with, or this person would be great because they need this, they want this. Like, we need to be clear that we're both measuring the ROI the same way, and that we're in agreement on what that looks like for you and what it looks like for me, because I want to win. I want to work with people who want to win, but I want to make sure that we're clear on what that looks like. Same thing with freedom. Understanding what somebody's outcome looks like. And it's one of the things out there that I think, particularly in service-based industries, sometimes gets glossed over because there's so much focus on, like, find the pain, find the need. Like, well, okay. I mean, for me, a big distinction is we don't work with people who are just trying to find a job.
Right.
All of our clients can find jobs. They may be getting frustrated in what they're finding. I'm interested in somebody who wants to find something that they love to do. If that's that would be nice. It's like, okay, well, that's not what we're doing here.
Right. No, and thank you for bringing that up. So not only do we have to be in alignment with that which is important to us, in order to be in solid community, we have to spend just as much time understanding what's important to the person on the other side of the table, so that we find the complement. And so whatever it is that we decide to do together, whatever opportunity we hunt for together, or whatever that thing is, I'm not attached to whatever it is that you're working on with someone else's. It's got to make sense for both of you, but it doesn't have to be matchy either. Is that I am clear what freedom looks like for you, for example, and you are clear on what freedom looks like for me. And so when we have that understanding and alignment, it becomes easier to create opportunity and magic together, as opposed to, as I was saying earlier, having it feel like a cudgel. So, one of the things you and I have been talking about is that why is this important right now? And the reason for me, the reason why I think it's important right now is, you've heard me say a million times over that we all know who Steve Jobs is. We all know who Thomas Edison is. We all know who Serena Williams is. Phenomenal badasses. We understand the impact they've had on all of us. I worry about the badasses we'll never meet because they've been sidelined or silenced, or they tapped out because they couldn't find the spaces that felt supportive for them. So what gifts to society do we not get? What technological advances, what advances in culture, whatever that thing is, what do we never benefit from because these people will remain hidden from us? That's why I want to have these types of conversations right now, is to bring these people out of hiding and help them create the platform for them to be and appreciated for who they are, as opposed to feeling like there's a costume they have to put on to be palatable to someone else. So what's important for you in terms of having this opportunity wallet conversation right at this moment?
So what's important for me is I think I know to my core, individuals understanding that the thing that stands between them and more opportunity is always them. It's always us, right? We're always bottlenecked around success.
Right.
But part of that is decision makers and those individuals who are dealing with the problem or problems that you solve being unaware that you exist as an option. Mm-hmm. And that goes back, I mean, some of the platforms that we're streaming on right now, one of them is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a phenomenal place to be able to connect with people in a myriad of ways. And to your point, be able to figure out not only what is that zone of genius for you and who do you solve those problems for and what do you want to solve, but also, and we can go layers and layers deeper on that. That's a whole other session for us to talk about.
It's a whole other conversation.
But then finding a way to be able to connect and add value and have other people experience what it is that you do and how you show up, much like what we're doing right now. Like this medium works for us. For some people go, oh my God, video? Hell no. Like, all right, cool. Figure out the thing that works for you. And then use these platforms, use these resources, use these things that are sitting out there to add value to other people's lives. and do
100%.
that in a way that feels authentic to you, right?
What's interesting is you were talking about, this platform might not be for you or another platform might be for you. I I don't enjoy being on video. And every Friday, clockwork on LinkedIn, I post a couple minute video with a reflection. The reason why I do that is my mission is more important. The badasses out there, they are more important to me than my relative discomfort to being on video. So this is what the Opportunity Wallet is also about: is what do you care about so much, or what do you think is so needed, or what's missing in this world that whatever your personal energy might be about it is far less important than to your impact value, than the impact that you want to create out into the world. And if you're not feeling it, then you are only half filling your Opportunity Wallet, or maybe even 5% filling your Opportunity Wallet.
And I think there's another side to that equation. Just like I was talking about the balance, using one of those, the profitability, impact, and freedom, taking any one of those, the same thing exists here, right? As you're putting that information out, and as you're connecting with other people, understanding what that looks like for them.
Yeah.
The easiest way to be able to serve someone, the easiest way to stay on somebody's radar, the easiest way for somebody, and I'll lean on my favorite quote in the world, Maya Angelou's, people forget what you say, forget what you do, not how you make them feel, right? The easiest way to make someone else feel heard and seen and remember you and associate that with you is to understand what's really important to them.
Right.
And in some cases, people really haven't thought about it. They haven't deliberately thought about it. And what a gift to be able to say, okay, so what's coming up when I ask that question? Where's the friction point? What's the thing that every day you're like, oh, God, that again? Like what is that thing, or what are those things? And being able to impact and help people with that, whether you can help them directly or indirectly through the other relationships that you have, is, that's societally, that's how we operate.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
kind of with it a little bit, but that's it. And it's a huge differentiator, just simply showing up that way.
Oh, 100%. That takes me to what I want to talk with you about next in terms of, well, it's one thing to say what an Opportunity Wallet is, and then also clarify why you and I are feeling the urgency, I should say, about what an Opportunity Wallet is, and why it is that we could be all filling it, or how it is that we could all be filling it. It also requires some mindset shifts. I can talk a lot, but it means nothing unless I have the associated mindset and energy shifts. And one of the mindset shifts that I know you and I enjoy talking about is slowing all the way down. We touched on this a little bit, is clarity. When we slow down and we get crystal clear on that which is important to us, and crystal clear on what the goal looks like, and crystal clear on what the conditions required to hit that goal, create that opportunity, or however it is that you want to frame it, then it's possible to go further, faster. And it's the famous story of the tortoise and the hare. What are your reflections on a mindset shift on slowing down to speed up?
For me, and watching this with clients, even watching this in myself, with a multitude of things going on, the more that you can dial in what that message is and understand, there are two parts to this. Number one, understand that, not just from a marketing perspective of people needing to hear something 5 to 7 times before they, buy, or let's replace buy with make a decision to continue to move forward. But the which can feel sometimes like, oh my God, I'm sitting here saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. Well, you are, and be so lucky as to have somebody hear you say it twice, much less 3 times, right? But the other importance in that is that then people know how to help you. People go, oh, Harissa is the one who works with modern badasses. Oh, what's a modern badass? Oh, I've heard her talk about it. She describes it this way, right? You're arming people. The simplicity of slowing down is also narrowing things down to be able to for other people to understand how they can help you. And the flip side to that, you know, going back to it, how can you help them? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there was a post I've wrote the other day on LinkedIn. I can't remember when it was. All my days are rolling into each other.
I hear you.
But it's clarity like sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I put that in my book. And I feel that so acutely. When we're not clear on what the goal is to ourselves, when we're not clear on what our values are, when we haven't crystallized why these values are our values, not only to ourselves, and we haven't crystallized it for other people, we haven't described to other people what the opportunity looks like, then not only do people not know what their potential skin in the game is, more importantly, we are cutting people off from feeling the skin they have in the game. When we slow all the way down and get to know that other person really well, get to know our teams really well, our peers, colleagues, clients, whomever, all of the above, and we get to the point where they feel the skin they have in the game in terms of the opportunity that you are envisioning, they will say, that's cute. I can make your opportunity even bigger than what you originally contemplated. So sure,
Yeah.
we're wildly creative, but we may be only thinking about the opportunity this way and believe that's it. That's as far as we can go. When someone feels the skin they have in the opportunity game, it's like it's much bigger. Why would we cut ourselves off from enjoying someone else's genius or benefiting from someone else's genius? So let's get clarity there. And so that's a nice segue into another mindset shift. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot, is stop being Superman or Wonder Woman and be Clark Kent or Diana Prince instead. And what I mean by this is be mortal. Ask people to participate, invite their creativity in. And I'm curious to hear from you what the benefits are, what the benefits have been to you when you've invited other people's creativity in.
Oh, I think it goes back to that feeling quote. You know, the simplicity of asking somebody else for their input, using them as a thought partner, listening to what they say, helping. It can help you sometimes clarify your message. It can help you sometimes. I'll give you two examples here, right? Number one, there's the mentor, the friend, the advisor, the person who you go to use as a sounding board, who, and you know, gives you some advice, and then you take that out into the world, and then you come back and I say, hey, Parisa, thank you so much. What you said last week when I showed up in this conversation and shared that or cleaned up or used the description of what I do, man, it landed so much better. Now they're, to your point, they're connected in your success. There feels like there's a little bit of a bond there. People love seeing that. I mean, you think about I know how that makes me feel. And I want other people to feel that same thing. You know, so that for me is a really big piece in all this, is not going out there and trying to do all this by yourself, and recognizing that, you know, there's also another layer to this with kind of the fundamentally building a tribe and building awareness around what you do and having people experience it. And it comes back to a statistic that I think a lot of people are seeing, that most people who are hired for roles, right, are, and we're talking 65, 67%, wherever you want to go, but more than half of people who are hired are referrals or are internal hires.
Yeah.
And the reality behind that is that people are a known quantity and they know what they're getting, right? So the ubiquity of information on the internet has people wondering constantly, can I trust you? Are you the real thing? Are you the real deal?
Right.
There's no better way to have other people experience that, or at least get a flavor of it, or at least lower their guard enough to show up to a conversation to be able to get to know you versus constantly asking in the back of their head, are you for real? I don't know. I mean, this seems too good to be true, or how can I know I can trust you? Then to be able to provide an experience for people. And
Oh, yeah.
and that's something that, you know, you can take and introduce, you know, I can introduce you to someone, you can introduce me to someone and confidently say, here's why you should talk to this person. Where the conversation goes, who knows? But you know confidently what that looks like. And that is huge. And it is so untapped. It is so untapped. It is remarkable to me how people are not using that opportunity. And going back to what we were talking about before, that understanding of what's important to someone else
Yeah.
is, I'll go as far as to say, like, it's linchpin in that experience of somebody
100%.
showing up and being curious about what's going on with you.
Yeah, just the to your point, curiosity alone is the gift of yields to gifts of creativity and opportunity. So you know, and I'm not proud to say that I used to Wonder Woman all the time, because what I would say was, well, you know, if I talk to someone about this, it'll just slow me down. But what I did was that it created a very narrow opportunity landscape. I lost my peripheral vision without realizing that I had done so. And so, you know, there is actually no harm in saying, you know what, I got nothing. So it's
Yeah.
time for me to ask people what they have and what they can contribute. And on that same idea of saying I got nothing is much like vote early and vote often, fail early and often. That's where one of the things I love about Badasses is this growth mindset, is that it's not that it won't ever happen, it just hasn't happened yet, right? This belief that every outcome is perfect. There's belief that an outcome, even when you don't enjoy it, yields something really powerful later on. And being good with whatever materializes because it is in service of X, whatever X is.
Yeah, I mean, like that, the whole perfection is the enemy of done comes up for me. Going back to what we were talking about before, I see this a lot where people are like, I've got to get my message all dialed in. Everything's got to be
Yeah,
perfect. Well, things are going to change, and the best way to figure out what needs to be refined, what's landing, what's not, is to go out there and make contact with your audience. And to your point,
right.
like, stop thinking about it as failure and think about it as learning.
Oh,
Years and years ago, I used to help people rewrite their LinkedIn profiles and resume, because it was part of what I was doing with coaching clients. And they would reach this point where when these things were done, and it's what I wanted to make sure was being captured in these things was, we're future pacing the things that you want to do. So all these things are lining up in support of what it is that you want to do. And when you see this document, digital or otherwise, that you feel good about the message, right? This isn't somebody else's language. This is something that feels consistent with you. Like that is more than good enough. That is 80-20. That is, we're good to go with it. Invariably, the question I would always get is, well, what do you think? And what do you think is going to happen with this? And I'm like, here's what I know for a fact. The two people who are having this conversation right now are never going to hire you.
right.
So like, to a certain degree, it doesn't even matter what I think. What matters is, and this is where now you need to get this stuff out there, and you need to start making contact with your market. You need to start taking this out to people who
Right.
have the problems that you want to solve. It's true for any and all messaging, and start to get that feedback and start
Right.
to refine those things. So if you want to fill that wallet, you've got to do that by interacting with other people. I mean, all these things, that's every single thing, to slow down, to speed up, not being Superman or Wonder Woman, failing early and often, mean getting out there and having conversations and creating a space and an awareness about what you do, and recognizing that you can evolve and you can change and you can shift that. When you start to
100%.
find out something about Badasses that you didn't know before, it becomes clearer to you. You can dial that up. You can dial down a message. You can, again, be so lucky as for somebody to go, hey, I thought you used to do X.
Right.
Like, holy smokes, somebody's paying attention. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, it's a real live example is as I've been talking about badasses. In my book, I talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and some other folks, and what I've noticed is inadvertently I've given the impression that people that I believe that badasses are the loudest people in the room. And I don't want it to be about volume. I want it to be about disruption. I want it to be about innovation. I want it to be about change agents. So lately, I've had to remind people that no, actually, you would have to be super quiet to hear RBG speak, but you don't have to like her or her politics personally, and you can recognize the level of impact that she had on the court. And so
Right.
it's not about volume. It's more about what someone's intent is. And that was, I wouldn't necessarily, that was a learning on my part. I'm like, wow, I inadvertently gave this impression. And the only way I could have gotten that lesson was because I was out there having conversation after conversation after conversation so that I can course correct in real time. So these three shifts, we have slow down to speed up, we have don't Superman or Wonder Woman, and we also have this growth mindset idea of fail early, fail often. One of the things that you and I had been talking about is once we notice ourselves making these shifts, things feel easeful, not necessarily easy, because sometimes the work that we're doing is still hard, but it still feels easeful and joyful. You attract opportunity and like-minded people. And to your point about profitability or whatever metrics are important to you, you'll end up hitting the metrics that end up being really important to you. What else would you add to that impromptu list that we came up with, that once these shifts are in place, what we can experience?
So this is where I think that whether it's journaling or documenting or however you want to go about it becomes important. You made the comment, and earlier on you were commenting about something that I posted the other day, and I had the same moment you did. I'm like, what did I post? And it was just yesterday, right? What did I put out there just yesterday? And I typically only put one thing out a day if I'm doing that. It's to be able to intentionally create space, for me, it's live and die by your calendar, and do an inventory at the end of the day and look at, where's the win? What are you celebrating? What went well? What's something that tomorrow, not I did wrong or I need to fix, but hey, I'm going to play with this tomorrow. Yeah. Right. And that could come from a place of, God, when we got to this part of the conversation, like that was awkward, or why is it that it really pisses me off when people don't agree with what I'm saying? Right. Because look, when you take these things out, you're not always going to have concert with what you're saying. And that is an opportunity. You're not failing. You didn't miss something. Somebody could be cleaning up like your audience can clean up your language for you. They can tell you what lands by you hearing it over and over again, what somebody's saying, and then you just adopt the language of your audience. But the importance of documenting that is this. It's the whole forest for the trees thing. You can go a week, a month out. You could be having a bad day. You could be having a great day, whatever. You can go back and start to look at what you've written down, what you've captured, and you can start to see some trends. You can start to realize when you're having an exceptionally bad day and you're like, not getting anywhere. It's like, hold on. I've committed to having 2 conversations a day for the past month. That's 40. I talked to 40 people this month. 40 people. What did I learn out of that? What did I get out of that? Who do I need to follow back up with? Whatever the case may be. So that for me is a big one. How about you?
It's the willingness to do the reps. So what I had mentioned to you before is that sometimes I feel awkward about going on video or doing a live stream. And it's a reminder that I'm so committed to what my mission is. I'm so committed to Modern Badasses that It's the, no, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Even to your point, when it feels like it might be a bad day, even when I might have a crisis of confidence of or two or 10 or 20, depending on what the week is, that no, this is exactly where I'm meant to be on whatever this journey is. So it's this reinforced belief as you are creating the opportunities and filling your opportunities wallet, that this is actually where you're meant to be. So, Kevin, uh, what are you doing in your Create Next community? Who do you like to help specifically?
Yeah, so for us, it really falls into three types of people that fall under one umbrella. The umbrella is much like the individuals you're working with, high performers. You've had a track record of success. Typically, if we want to put a number around it, people are making at least $150,000 a year. There's a certain point they're at in their career, and they've fallen out of love with what they're doing. And maybe that's been a slow burn. Maybe it's the most recent role, whatever the case may be. And they want to do one of three things. They either want to go, I'll use the language create, but, find a role internally in the company they're in or externally in another company that is going to bring them joy, compensation. They're going to love it. There's whatever success at the next phase of your career looks like. The other is we get people who come to us and say, you know what, I'm at this point where I'm ready to go out on my own. And my big concern is replacing my W-2 income. And the folks that we work with are able to do that in the first year. And then there's a third category of folks who aren't quite ready to go completely out on their own, or maybe they want to start creating something because they're at a point in their life where, hey, I'm thinking about more of an active retirement, whatever that is. They're not going to stop working, but they want to do it on their own terms. Or maybe they just want to create alternate streams of income. That typically what that requires is taking a look at the role that you're currently in and either making some adjustments in it or going to find another role that's going to allow you that balance. So, ultimately, this is just designing what it is that you want professionally to support the entirety of your life, work backwards from what you want your life to look like, and have that relationship with your career that you can love what you're doing again.
I love that. And it, as you know, it aligns so nicely with what it is that I'm doing in the world. As you know, I love also working with high performers, people who are, if not in the C-suite, they're dangerously adjacent to the C-suite, and they're people that are like bulls in a china shop. They're well intended. They don't mean to break all the dishes that they do, even though a lot of the dishes were ugly. These are the people that go 80 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone without checking to see if people are strapped in for the ride, let alone interested in the destination. These are people that have big, audacious goals in their mind's eye and sometimes wish they had an outside thinking partner that can not only champion them, but also challenge them as they go on the path to whatever it is they are trying to create. They're not always understood. They're not always celebrated. They're often, as I was telling you before, sidelined. Silenced, or they tap out because they just get so frustrated and they don't, because it's themselves, they can't see how it is that they can navigate to whatever their next chapter looks like. And if anyone is curious, I should say, to see where they might fall in the modern badass curve, hop on over. It's a 7-question quiz.
It's a very cool quiz that you put together.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a 7-question quiz. So that you can see where you might be in your badassery, or invite someone to take the quiz and find out where they are in your badassery. If anyone is looking to have a conversation with Kevin, here's his email address, kevin@kevinkerms.com. And also, you can sign up for his newsletter. I get his newsletters. I get the content from his communities. It's solid stuff. If anyone's curious to have a chat with me, here's how you can do that. Drop me a note at Parisa at sixthsensestrategy.com. Happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you. Kevin, this was so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Have an awesome rest of the day and enjoy your trip to the Keys.
I will do that. Thank you.
We'll see you. Thanks all. Bye.